every 40 seconds, somebody in the world is committing suicide.
Every
freaking 40 seconds. You can start on your watch now. 40 seconds. Globally is killing themselves. Excuse me. Yes.
Jeff KURIA TV, be a champion.
Ndakunyita ugeni guku ni kwa Jeff KURIA YouTube channel. Okire mwega. Maundu ni maingi gikuya ugire maundu ni maingi matari maringithie. Umuthi nitukorwo tukiaria horo wigie wandiki wa mafuku na ruthiomi rwa gikuyu. Twari horo wigie murimu wa meciria na kiumia kiu kirathire ni turari horo wigie murimu wa meciria uria guo uragite andu aingi muno utekumenyekana kana ukimenyekanaga. Na thu twacemana na mundu ina mathina ma meciria ri tumwitaga maritwa ni muguruki ni kirumi maundu maingi muno. Murimu wa meciria no twende kumenya kihumo kiaguo ni kiriku na maundu maria twagire gukorwo tukigerera na maundu maria twagire gukorwo tukirumirira nigetha mathina ma meciria mathire na tumanwo namo. He mwanake turari nake kiumia kiu kirathirire na araragia horo wigie mathina ma meciria maria agereire ekuma kirathi gia form 1 nginya form 4 nginya agikinyirira handu ha gutuika ni guteithia andu. Ugu muthenya umuthi mugeni witu ni tukwari nake horo wigie mathina ma meciria ona kuririkana muiritu wake wahurukire na ni gutwira gitumi na atwire hihi kuria tuthiete na ningi na gukorwo atari bururi uyu wa Kenya na agakorwo ni arahota kwaria ruthiomi wega na akenda ruthiomi ni kuririkana mwaka umwe kana miaka iri rahetukire mwandiki mukaru wa magathĩ kana mwandiki wa mafuku Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o ni rigite kuheo ngerenwa na akimiamukira amiamukirire na ruthiomi rwa gikuyu. Tutienda ruthiomi tutithomithie ciana citu ruthiomi tutietire ruthiomi rwitu rwa gikuyu tondu ruthiomi rwa mbere ruria mundu amenyaga ni kwaria gikuyu nikio twiragwo a e i o u o ukamenya kwaria baba mami mama tata shosho irio kiu ni gikuyu na aria mathomete ta ithuĩ miaka ya kabere twathomaga subject cia thukuru na tugathoma gikuyu as a subject. Uga kondu athomire gikuyu aya kuririkane. Karibu sana mugeni witu ni introduce. Karibu.
Asante sana.
Marito maku mothe.
Jitagwo Waithĩra Mbuthia Prutano. Prutano ni muthuri. Ni muthuri. Kari muthungu. Ni Muitaliano.
Ni Muitaliano.
American. 5th generation.
Karibu sana Waithĩra.
Asante sana.
Kwa mbere ni wanyandikire ndumiriri kuria mitambo-ini ya ukinyanĩria.
Vio.
Na tugicoka tugikionana na ndakana ni gukuona.
Ugenetia muno, thank you muno to have me.
Yes.
You were very kind and very humble.
Asante.
I stream your show.
Thank you. Welcome to Kenya.
Asante sana.
Nilaliwa jambo bana. Nilaliwa habari gani? Nilaliwa. Wapi airport?
At least the cost. The cost mega. Na turare cost asha na my daughter.
All right. Riuri tatuire uciaritwo ko.
Niri mutu angijurio go ndwikaga little bit thrown off na ngokwira ndiki. Ni gwituri ni kavete. Baba wituri aumite mwimuto
wagie
na ari mwarimu na businessman. Mami wituri ithe ari wa kavete no nyina imite Njeri. The legend goes atikari kairitu kanini gakiura kuria kanini kenda kwenderio shigo wari na 50 wives or some crazy stuff like that. Ma atega ke walk from Njeri ke kairitu kanini giukaga ke meet reu na the future sister-in-law sister-in-law dukani guaga dumetagwo baria kavetu kimenyesho ni my mom todo there's a history about that, but anyway if I try to go on a tangent to just rein me in but norewe daciarirwo kundu gwitagwo Shura ithuothe
njui Shura
no Shura
tondu susu witu ri aciaritwo kundu gwitagwo Kahuho Kaiba.
Get out.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Kahuho ri
njui Kimero Shura
kwa my father ni athomithie gwitu ri tari uri he there was actually Shura's church. My father was a co-founder. Shura's Church and a school there. Na ndirari kuo. Na ndirakena muno.
Oguo we riu ndungihota kuga kihumo giaku wega.
Katarikio ndirakwira. Ndikana kanini ri. Well, about maybe 6 tukiuma tukigura mugunda riri mucatha. Banana hau. Riu twagura mugunda mucatha ri. Within about my father was very entrepreneurial. Tukeo wirathi uguo ri ni agura muci moro. Nikio tweka rimwe we ended out yes na ku Rift Valley. Tugithie moro. Ngima ko ri my sister we ho mathite na muthuri mahikania uguo London ri. Aima na ko ri akijita thi gathomere ngarikirie gwake muguga ngirikia hau icoka ngithiru secondary school Nairobi Girls Secondary School which ari wetagwo Moi riu ri indi my father again ni mwarimu na ni businessman akiambia riu kwanja go concentrate more na business riu ri tugithi hau riu ndari ngiuma guku America guku thi America ri ona ndiakinyitie 18 nginyirie 18 di America. Tondu ithuĩ ciana cia mwarimu twathiaga thukuru ona tene tutari of age tondu my father ringi mutiragwo gwikio No, we could actually go like that my sister we hori she was the youngest to go to Alliance. Toni aririre my sister ya shokete ri agishoka thukuru my father akiuga ngithie
agitwaro cukuru. Riu wakinya America kundu ni state iriko?
Actually ri ndagirirwo ni guthie to Harrisburg School of Nursing. No dona thakame ri ngiuga never. Ni undu kwenda kumenya wako I'm very squeamish. Ni urakanaga ciero haha
kamukonyo
ndimuhutagia hau uguo kagwa I'm that squeamish.
Ndungenda
ungitahika mbere yakwa no muhaka ndahike onani koguo ri
ingirira
mui no muhaka ndire kwena mundu murwaru
nawe no warwara
bad igithie thenema nawe no nguconorithie thenema
uririte.
I'm telling you. However, I'm very lucky because I have quite a few doctors in the family, nieces, nephews, nurses, and I became also the second best name, mwarimu. I shape the minds of the young.
Korea America. Wikaraga itura ririko?
Njikaraga New York. For the longest of time. Hey, dad short for a very short time California. Told my brother who had I was 16 in the 60s, California. Na my aunt wadite ko githiko very briefly. Na mundu we ho hanaga te ko nyenda muno na tutipari horo cio muno to njwe we wa gukinyira ri. Ni
wega tungiambiriria guku ndwambagiriria horo na nduthire. Oguo no nginya urikie.
I knew I walked right into that one. Anyway, I ended up in New York. How about that?
No. We go back. Let's go back to mundu akwendaga. Let's go back there. You are dating.
KURIA.
You are dating.
No, dire mogani ndogoteka ndiro tender nani.
I am very actually nikio tarenda gukinyira muno. Ndenda tu kumenya what happened.
Riu
kiuma California.
Gicani ndigiuka ku
California.
Riu ngiuma California hado aikana my brother. Hito riu thakame ni ande munyinyi nake we ni ahikikire nani mukuru hani kugira. Kwera beta shai. Riu ni wiri end up New York. Nderago ni andu tondu California yeko ingia kwaja ndathio uguo in the 70s. I'm going to start dating myself.
Yes.
Riu ni wiri he handu actually hetagwo Paralto na hetagwo Kiambu to Kikuyu Kiambu keigi heta muno. Anyhow, I really ended up in New York, but there is something very good about being in New York. Todo California, the weather is very similar to Nairobi, to Kenya.
I lived in California.
Get out of town.
Yes.
I
lived in California.
Where?
California, Sacramento.
Sacramento?
Yes.
How long?
For 6 months maybe. Yes, I lived there with a friend of mine.
San Jose.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. But it's not very conducive.
Yes.
To learning.
Yes.
So you party all the time. Medavia kuna huge partying on my brother.
I went to Seattle a bit. Seattle a bit.
Oh, there is actually a beautiful family with whom I'm friends.
Yes.
Well, come to New York.
I will come.
Next destination, New York.
I think our ndege yetu New York at some point.
Let me tell you.
At some point, but we were not at.
You mean Kenya Airways to go down
to San Francisco International Airport. I think we pretered somewhere.
When we are Golden Bridge.
Yes.
San Francisco go
Of course. I've been there as well.
Yeah.
So they go carry one drone. They don't know matao no more. So tell me about New York.
But New York is New York City is the capital of the world.
Very nice.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. It kind of becomes addicted. America did not live anywhere else. New York.
Except New York.
It's heaven. It's really beautiful.
Yes.
And of course but every town, every country has its good and bad. I love my country. My heart is my first country.
Yeah.
America is my second. It's my husband. That's where my bread has been buttered for all those years. And they have been very, very good to me.
Yes.
But home is always home. Truly ungimenya atiriri niguo njiraga andu kwanja riria ndacemania nao makiogorithia makinya kou 2 months later riria wona andu aria matwarirwo kou me ngombo magicaria madakwira Jeff maritwa mao magicaria ruga yao makiriraga maithori amwe ukamenya uria ithuĩ twĩ lucky riria mundu by the way nyendaga andu mamenye ũũ na nĩ njĩra meraga all the time hatirĩ ũru kumenya ruga ciothe urenda guthie kumenya kivaranja by all means Gĩthivania by Spanish ciothe menya Kĩnjĩrĩmani ciothe but your first tongue is gold.
Rĩu rĩ ũhoro wa we kuria thungu-inĩ we mundu young irona mbeca interaction yaku ni andu acio mathukuma urathie Colombia nako na guthomithia andu acio werwo ni your brother ndukariganirwo ni Gikuyu ndina ibuku riharetwo Mutiri njarada ya miikarire iruta ria kanana ndinenge haretwo Mutiri
just a few of them
njarada ya miikarire namba 6 na dinengeretwo requiem for Njeri.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
We'll tackle this later. Na dina Mutiri jarada ya miikarire maja ya mbere iruta ria mbere January April 1994.
Right.
Twire horo mafuku maya.
Twambiririe na Mutiri.
Yes.
First of all, again, before Mutiri, I'm a published writer.
Yes.
I publish it in literary magazines. You can find my work under Waithira Mbuthia, Waithira Mbuthia Karanja, and also in contemporary. Have magazine here very famous. They can one amigua itago Essence magazine, and I don't know published.
Yeah.
So I had published in a publisher in English. Kwa way, Mutiri yokai Guge. Marimu Goge,
Professor.
Professor Gogere was the co-founder, and we would work together often and with other brilliant writers. Bugua, for example, Kenyate, all these people, brilliant writers and scholars and what have you. Mutiri nie ngikwira ndiandikite na Gikuyu before Mutiri ona mwalimu Professor Gogi tetekagia na ndiandikite na Gikuyu no nie it came so easily to me no ria gwirire atiriri ati andu aria maragia more than one language they reason better and they are smarter in general. Todo you have think like igure ajikaga igitweka kuhigishwo igiandika kindu jigwe ndagia na writer's block which I'm sure you're familiar with, right?
Yes.
I will write it in my mother tongue first. There is a little poem I published. It's not in here. It's in one of the literary magazines. In called Confrontation, and I had just struggled to write it. I saw it as a play, as a story, and I would write it. And every time I went to bed, I could have the whole story. I could literally see the whole story, the plot, everything, all there. I go, lost.
Block.
Where's my muse? And I realized, and one day, I just woke up one day. I saw it in a dream, first of all. I don't want to be dramatic, but I do believe in dreams because I can.
You're dramatic, though.
Too late for that?
Yes.
Polly.
Okay.
Anyway, that, you know, gikona na mesiria. Girota wega, gikona gega poem. Gikandika. I think that poem, untitled, it's like, is it like 3 lines or something? It was my first poem. I did Dari College, the Darina boss, beautiful bosses. The chairman and they just loved me. They treated me like their own little sister. And he used to say, "You write very well." But you know, when you are a beginner as a writer, you are shy. Don't worry, I didn't. He took my work and sent it up with his. And it was a full, his was not taken and mine was, because you never know sometimes what people, I just finished actually some children's stories recently, picture book form. And I have another one, very, very popular, and I should have brought it to you.
Yes.
But when you come to New York, I'll show you. But anyway, yeah.
Twino ne wandikire ya Mutiri.
Riu Mutiri ri ni ndambia kwandika ri, I found everything flowing. Ati hindi twari na mwalimu ko Waithira international, you know, writers, you know, whatever conference. Riu anyway, and I found it very easy. And I said, that's wonderful. See that book there? It's in original Kikuyu first.
Yes, Waithira Mbuthia.
Yeah.
Protano.
And let me tell you, this is all in original Kikuyu first.
First of all,
I tried to write in KURIA Kikuyu first in original. Hakuwira wakwa wothe. Nyandika uguo.
Gacoka translate.
Gacoka translate.
Yep.
Riu ri, I call them live poems. Nadi ukwajo nani giakurehere. No ni direkire atri ni iragurirwo, by the way, the only couples I have.
Yes.
I can bring you if you want when I return. I'm returning at the end of the year.
Yes.
Let me tell you, it comes with a CD. Na CD yori. It's also write songs.
Yes.
So I wrote some songs. Okay, I call all of this live poetry. Everything. Maybe with the exception of 1 or 2 things. It is all based on truth. We lived prior to where we still live by the water, but prior to moving to our current residence, a place called Mamaroneck, in the suburbs of New York.
Yeah.
I used to go to where, and that's where my daughter's tree is also. My mother-in-law erected a tree now, it's tall.
Okay.
And I would sit there and write these poems. But everything there is real. It's based on real.
Taudona page 98, wandikite Requiem for Njeri.
Oh, Requiem for Njeri, that is the title, poem.
Today I will not cry, I will not be sad, and I will not cry. Today, I will not cry. So tell us about Njeri.
Njeri was my first. I'll try not to cry. If I do, you gotta forgive me.
No problem.
Njeri was my first, was the second born and the first daughter. Let me tell you, she was one of, and I tell you, I know everybody thinks their children, you know, are the best. But she really, anybody, I do get compliments like my kids are well behaved since they were little and all that. But Njeri wa mwanya todo nindro kwaja generous to a fault. Brilliant, cute as a button, like literally beautiful inside out.
Yeah.
And as I said, she could have been a better writer than I could ever have imagined. She could write before she could spell. And she could give you the shot of the proverbial shot of her back. Literally during, like, you know, kiria gorone ta birthday to kana Christmas kana ke. Guthia kagurira everybody growth most expensive on a kavage.
Ari mundu wendete ari mumado
na nindi gokohenia ri for a very long time I was angry with God. I still am sometimes. Incredibly angry because I will see people who live up to their 90s. They were not necessarily good people. Why my daughter? And why did she have to go that way? It just wasn't fair. Njeri wako was diagnosed which we later, you know, was it 2000, she was diagnosed with bipolar. Naduri, nima misunderstandaga muno. Bipolar is extremely hard to diagnose, first of all, and because they say once, if you can live to be 30, you survive. But it also has the highest suicidal rates. Yeah. It's a horrendous, insidious freaking disease. And there is a real correlation. Between mental illness and genius. You know, they have said that really some of the most brilliant minds, and she was smart, this girl. They you know, there's something now artistic that I know, you know. Artistic people have a tendency to go over the edge.
Mathiaga overboard.
Depression, that, and let me tell you, I think we as artists, when we have a third eye. We see things more than, and not to be cocky or anything. I think we see more than regular people do. That's why we're able to create, to write songs, to paint, to write books, to, you know, choose one word as opposed to another. Those gifts, they have their price also, unfortunately. And there seems to be a real correlation, as I said, you know, correlation between mental illness and genius. But very many smart people or very, very highly creative people, even historically, something that, by the way, I'm not just pulling it out of my, you know, it's something that I studied because I'm that type of person. Diabetes, I went hog on reading everything about diabetes. Mental illness. I'm certified. I have certification in a course, you know, about mental illness and what have you. So bipolar is a kind of mental illness, and it alternates. It is sometimes called manic depression, and it is it alternates now, you know, between highs and lows. So that when you're high, the person is creative and they are very energetic and they are very, very, you know, driven, and they can create, by the way. I don't know if you haven't, go and Google a beautiful mind. And if you can, a beautiful mind, if you can get that,
a beautiful mind, you Google.
A beautiful mind.
Yes.
If you can get to see a movie, I don't think you probably can, but it was a very famous movie based on this man who had schizophrenia. He was an award-winning mathematician. And so that and so many others from days of yore, like way back, that now people look and say, wow. In fact, one of the foremost authority on bipolar today, Dr. Jameson, herself is a bipolar sufferer. She went to John Hopkins.
I had Elon Musk is also the same.
Very, very smart people suffer from deep depression, and it kills. That's the thing. But let me finish defining just very high, very low. When you crash from that high, then you go into horrendous depression, and that's where you can, the very high, you know, also moods can put you into danger. You can go on like, you know, you know, on a spree of, let's say, like shopping, you bankrupt yourself.
Ukagura ni indo ciothe.
Sure, there, you know, because you are at that, you are feeling high.
Indo icio ciothe uragurite ningi ukoya ugaciheana.
You know, it's like that, you know, extreme.
Yeah.
Then, crash uguo. Gosh,
Ugacoka riu
crash uguo. Riu ningi, the depression, and that's where the suicide rate comes in.
So riu Njeri Njeri, what happened?
So when Njeri was, you know, we took her.
Bipolar.
Now, my husband, who I told you, his name is Thomas Protano. I have to shout him out. If it wasn't my husband, I wouldn't be alive. I mean this from a literal.
Thank you, Protano.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much.
Baby.
The baby is here.
I tell you, he held the fort. He's one of the kindest, the sweetest, the most understanding human being I've ever met. And my father used to be like that. You know, Freud, the father of psychology, said we all marry our fathers or mothers. I married my dad. He's slightly younger than me, incidentally. Don't judge.
Okay, I'm not judging. I'm not gonna judge.
But he's, no, jokes aside. Then that and plus Waithira. Waithira re ni karigithathi ni ka last born ara duite maitu. Waithira re korwo nake ndaciaritwo. Todo Kari 5 days shy of 15, and she was very close to her sister.
Yes.
She's never gotten over it either.
Yes.
I don't think I would have actively committed suicide, but I would have just, you know, by the way, grief kills.
Yeah,
you do know.
I know.
I was determined to just, for the last, I don't know for how long, I would get out of bed, sit in my nightgown, or even want to care to wash, to do anything. But that, okay, you asked me how should I, and I'll tell you. This is a very difficult thing for me to talk about, as you might. The stigma is huge.
Yeah.
Shame and stigma.
True.
I don't know any of it. I don't want to hear about it because people are dying. I'll give you a statistic right here. Every 40 seconds, somebody in the world is committing suicide.
Every
freaking 40 seconds. You can start on your watch now. 40 seconds. Globally is killing themselves. Excuse me. Yes. Yes. Often mental illness and suicide go hand in hand. And of course I was on medication. In fact, as soon as I learned, I went to the hospital over there. I arrived at the hospital and I was told my daughter is dead. And you always know, by the way. You just don't want to believe it, but you do. I remember myself flinging myself forward, like I flew, like literally, flung myself across the floor. And that's all I remember. The next thing I saw, I had an IV right here, Valium, that I was injected with the Valium. And I was like, and I was able to go see my daughter. But still there, I was kind of in another world, of course. And I kind of went to her, after she came, and the person, no, you cannot do that. That's disrespect. Because I wanted to see her and open her, and I said I couldn't do that. So I remember only that. And then I didn't remember getting home because I was asleep, and I think I slept for about a day. And then after I woke up, I was on medicine because I would have gone mad. And I would sit, and my neighbor downstairs and a good friend, she would come and say to me, I don't even know. I would have literally sat there until I died. But then I said, as my senses started to come, and of course in America it's different because I went for therapy, and which I recommend for everybody. Yeah. And I had an amazing therapist who also was like my dad, and he, the same personality, very sweet, and he was very calming. And he was very good to me. Unfortunately, he died. His son actually went to school where I taught me. When I realized, my husband can get another wife, my daughter cannot get another mother. And that is the point where I started to begin to say, okay, I want to live. But there are people who say, grief kills. You are going to die. I'm like, you really are going to. And I was raging at God. I was so angry because I was raised in church. And I have this inner struggle with organized religion because I keep on thinking, what God would let us be colonized, God would let slavery happen to, all kinds of things, to good people also, things bad. So anyway, I don't like to say ati mwana wakwa neuragire because that's putting the onus on my daughter and all the other people who have died as a result of mental illness. I like to say bipolar, and it's not about semantics. My bipolar claimed my daughter's life, just like cancer.
How old are you?
I'm 27, but you know what is so very funny? My daughter is 27, looked like a 12, 15-year-old. I do the message, I call it Jerikana. Ona tugithie restaurant riria wajira wakwa rasa Njeri wakwa would be carded. She was very, very young looking. She was very
wewe muciari mwana waku kana mwana waku ni akorwo na thina wa meciria na guku tari guku icagi-ini gwitu thie wa Ngigĩ thie Mũgũga thie Limuru thie Njeri thie Murang'a andu aria mareyuraga ri ni mathekagirirwo muno ni manyuragio muno ni meragwo niwe we niwe failed as a person.
Thank you. Regional parents wekatia. Can I also
rakamerera wariria andu aria manyururagia andu ta andu aria ciana ciao na to ciana athuri ni mareyuraga atumia ni mareyuraga ciana ni ireyuraga ona muruti wa wira wandikite akeyuragira ogwaku ni thina wa meciria no ndoikaine ariria andu aria manyururagia andu hari
atiriri gwenda kumwira specifically andu aria hihi munyururagia andu aria makwirwo ni ciana kana ni andu ao through suicide kana aria mararuta nguo kana makonania symptoms cia mental illness mukimeta crazy and all kinds of condescending and horrible names. Mumenyo first and foremost iranyeda andu mamenye giki ni kiga mutweri ni kiga ota guoko kana nda na iko ni kiga ri if it is kiga kana what is it what is the word I'm looking for? There's an organ.
Kiga kia mwili
is an organ, and every organ in your body is susceptible to disease. That means korwara meciria is just as normal as korwara higo kana korwa ndiramerota higo korwa kana korwara ngoro koguo ri twambiririe uhoro wa kugia na tolerance na muno guthoma tondu ndirakura ignorance iri koragwo na maundu ma mental illness ni nene ona he mwanaka wiriga kwiuraga na guku Capital hii ni mwaiguire Capital FM
ona hari ungi uragire o manyumba icio
yes now let me say this dakwira there but the grace of God goes you or I gutiri undu mwikite mukahaka Ngai ati mecia manyu ri ni mega kana mutikwirirwo uguo have more show and have more compassion. Listen to people when they are hurting. There is nothing wrong with being vulnerable. Kwa jarume uria twiritwo
na gikuyu kiega ni kuga atiriri ni no ngoro ni ndiragerera kahinda karitu ni njagirire ni kurira njagirire ni gukorwo ndi mundu broken mundu with the few akiririri biuri ogwo kwiragwo ati mwana kindu karire ogwo ni gwika disservice njuru muno andu aitu mwana kire kiarire ogoni akurira tondu ku bottle all those horrible
feelings inside nicio igucoka ithie na mwanake tocio ni njiguite andu bakiuga atiriri ni I had no one to turn to. By the way, when I had room standing only, thank God, with this book nama I was told by somebody who came and mundu ndoe ciragia together. That's another misconception. Watakuona mundu agitheka. Please be very attuned to people. Mutumia ucio anjirire nie nyuaga njohi rucini 8 in the morning na ndiraha kwiyuraga nie niwe watuma na after that gatuika consulted ni andu aingi muno ndamuthaitha mugie na more compassion menye mukorwo mwe attuned very very tuned into who the people who are hurting.
Itanarigana no
so you can save a life.
Yes, itanarigana no ri kuri na andu aingi muno mendaga guthoma mabuku maku magaya guthoma.
Okay. Excuse me.
Mariria haria. It's okay. Mariria haria kuri mabuku maku monekaga. Na hihi mundu, do you mentor people andu magenda kwandika? Ni mentaga andu? I
would love to do that.
Ndu wira wa gutira ri. Gutira mundu.
Gutira.
So
I would love to.
Yes.
Riuri ogo tareke gione mabuku ma. Riuri mabuku ma mutiriri. Andinona thacia guthomera no time. Mutiriri, you can actually get it through the East African publishers, www.eastafricanpublishing.com, I believe. And the CEO is Mr. Kari. So this you can get there.
Yes.
Ibuku riri nindronire rikiendwo muno na maria ndirokite na mori. They snapped them up.
Okay.
Now by the way, ukite na CD. I must mention this, Kuria Wito.
Yes.
The guy who wrote the music for my poem on my poems. Nagashiraga kwa nikainite a couple of things here. Etagwo Dr. George Growth. He just retired. He was also a college psychologist. He was also literally a genius. He compose operas, something or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to absolutely shout him out because he's like a brother of mine. He worked with me on the songs and what have you. And how can you get a requiem for Njeri? Through me. I am returning. Indicate toto gugeria.
Negukena. Guche ni ukani na team of them.
Reure na nduna thekio thekagia ndu no ndakena muno nduna njamburira. Atire ibuku riri ya gaceri gakwa ri. Requiem for Njeri ri. There's some wisdom also because there are some quotes here.
Yeah.
I am actually coming back with my love, my eternal boyfriend, Thomas Brutano. We are coming back towards the end of the year. Gushoka gushera.
Oh.
Karaga tuoka riuri wenu no mwakari akirute wira often ndakoragwo na time nene tani.
Okay.
But actually need to kwambiriria hopefully we'll spend more time here, especially because I can't take winter anymore. I can't stand winter. Riuri ino nigurehe more of this.
Alright.
And I'll make sure I sign a copy for you.
Social media.
I'll sign the copy. Absolutely. Oh, incidentally, if you want it, absolutely, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
But you have to pay for postage.
Okay.
I mean, for the, you know.
Uria gukinya guku.
Ye, ni uria gukinya guku. No twarie. Ndito twarie.
No twarie rero maherere. Magikuona ku.
Oh, absolutely.
Email, YouTube, Facebook maybe.
Ndikuwa guothe.
Mahe.
Riu ri. Ni njitagwo Waithira Mbuthia Prutano. My IG and Twitter is IN number 2 into IN2 the sunshine 2.
No twandikira hau nigetha tutikahitania.
Okay.
Andu matume kwi mundu ungi. Utwandikire wandikire Joani nigetha ikirie kanyi atwandikire. Joan.
Got your number. So, mutumia wa magegania. Ireveta riri ritauritwo kuma ireveta ria Maya Anjiru ritagwo Phenomenal Woman. Nini of course ni Waithira Mbuthia. Airetu athaka meyuragia hitho yakwa ni iriku. Ndire nyeraria ati nene na nyondo ciakwa ti ui nene. no riria ndambiriria kumahe ohoro meciragia ni ndiramahenia njugaga ni uria thiaga ndirungite uria higo ciakwa higukaga ngithie ni iromo ciakwa ndi mutumia wa magegania ma mutumia nini nyingagira rumu tathi othe injetereire na guguka arume manduga kana makanduriria ndu magathiururukiria kimanja kia njuki njugaga ni mwaki uria wi maitho-ini makwa na gukenga kwa magego makwa riria ngutheka uria njohoro yakwa iganyukaga riria ndakinyukia na gikeno kiria nginyukagia nakio mutumia wa magegania ma mutumia nini
ucio tumwitaga introduce wega
Waithĩra Mbuthia Protano.
Waithĩra Mbuthia Protano niwe ucio mwandiki wa mafuku na ni umwe wa andu aria makoretwo magitwara na mbere ndumiriri egie wega kana murimu wa meciria no mwaririe kwitukira Instagram, Twitter account mafuku make no magure na to uguo tu ungikorwo wina kiuria mwandikire kule mitambo-ini ya ukinyaniria turekodagira haha hetagwo Elation Resort ni mukawa andu gikira na wikire mishamanio yaku ya rutia wira ungikorwo wina trainings ni kuri mithako ya ciana ni kuri accommodation ni kuri mukawa ni kuri coffee shop ni andu ngihuruka ni andu hega urehete andu ona team building magikara wega. Thank you very much no wago twirorera na ningi with lots of love kuma kuri New York twina Waithĩra wa Mbuthia Protano mwandiki njorua wa mafuku mutiri na mafuku mangi ogwo thank you very much. God bless you.
KURIA TV, be a champion.